Good morning, and coming at you live from Black Hat 2024. We're here at day 2. I'm Mandy Logan with Security Weekly and Cyber Risk Alliance, and joining us this morning is Michael Lyborg, the Chief Information Security Officer at Swimlane. And thankfully, Michael is here and going to share some things about cutting through the AI peanut butter to find out which AI advantages are actual true advantages to the SOC team. Michael, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
How are you been today?
Oh, great. Early morning, but I got my coffee in, so I think I'm ready to go.
Wonderful. Yeah. So, in looking over your mission, your goal, your intent at Swimlane now, and then also your background with extensive adoption of AI, figuring out how to use it for your mature customers, figuring out how to really create the advantage and allow individual security teams to benefit from AI and early adoption of other automation practices. Tell me something right now that is one of your most exciting, or the thing that has gotten you most excited about generative AI recently.
Yeah, I mean, I have some good personal experiences. So one of the things is, we send and report KPIs all the time to the rest of the executive team and to the board, etc. And a lot of times, as we interview the board and everybody else, you send in them pie charts and trend lines, and they're like, well, what does this mean, right? So one of the really quick wins that we just did fairly recently was we took all of our data from multiple sources, like all of our IT ticketing, security, risk, vulnerability management, and then we just asked our hero AI, hey, can you give me year over year, quarter over quarter, month over month, week over week, depending on what that cron schedule looks like, and then give me a summary, like as a CISO to the board, and it's beautifully just written, and obviously it helps them out with understanding what all those metrics really mean, and if you're trending in the right or wrong direction. So I think that's a really quick win.
Well, that is beautiful, and that was something I zeroed in on looking at your products on the Hero AI, just simply because of the summary part of being able to summarize, to categorize the information, prioritize it, actually help with remediation.
Yeah.
Big deal. And to mitigate the risk. Go ahead.
Yeah, those recommendations, right? We were all worried, and we always talk about skills gap and the time it takes to ramp, right? So even if you have all the automations in place and you have your well-defined playbooks, right, in a mature organization like our customers and partners out there, there still takes time, because not everybody knows every CNAP, not everybody knows every SIM query language. So when you can then build those prompts that are tailored to your organization, right? And say hey, as a security analyst, what do we want these things to look like, or what do you recommend from this? And then even automate that. Maybe not automate the remediation. I don't think we're there yet.
Okay.
But as far as automating the context and bringing in all this beautiful information to help those analysts out with the deterministic workflow and what to do next.
And with you mentioning of the prompts from Hero AI, can you give us one tidbit of something that you found shocking about how the prompt actually helped?
Yeah, I think, you also want to make sure that you can remove, hey, if something doesn't know anything, it's not just Hero, it's chat, any of the...
Right.
What's important there is also build in some of those safeguards and saying, hey, if you don't know, tell me you don't know. So it doesn't start hallucinating or something like that, right?
Are you able to tell it just don't hallucinate?
Yeah. But I think as everybody, the whole industry, right, is super exciting because how fast it's moving right now. It just keeps getting better and better.
Okay, so tool agnostic, from your viewpoint, what role do you think that AI or automation should play in the SOC?
I think right now, today, the best way I would summarize it is to look at it as a partnership. It's truly an assistant in that way that it can look at these really large data sets and also call out. Maybe I want to ask it, hey, what's the weirdest thing you've seen Mike do in the last 30 days? Or build some sort of report, or give me a summary or context, whether maybe it's inside a risk. So all of these things just kind of being able to summarize it and bring that out with relative information at the right time in that playbook to help the humans out. Because it's still very human-centric, right? It always comes
For
down
sure.
to that what's the persona that we're trying to enable and help. So you have to also have the ability to kind of say, hey, as a tier 1, as a tier 2, as a tier 3, as a SOC manager, I want to see this so that it kind of gets tailored for them.
That's brilliant. So with that then, in the implementation of AI or automation in your own SOC,
Yep.
what have you noticed or what changes have been most profound?
Just greater. It feels like I'm repeating myself. I'm sorry. Like greater context, right?
Yes, okay.
Simplified reporting, greater visibility into things where we would ask all of our different data sources, right? Like manually through query language. Now to be able to just ask those simple questions. Hey, out of all of our assets, which ones are, susceptible to this vulnerability or this CVE, and have it kind of help out, and then go and look at all of our through our like system of record and all our CMDBs and ITAMs and everything, and then like, okay, you have these 3 or 4 hosts that we identified running this CVE or this version that is affected by this vulnerability. Because otherwise you have to be a subject matter expert on all those systems and
right.
kind of ask using those query languages, right?
So with being able to do that, have you noticed any reduction on mental load? Since we're talking about the humans are still the most important part of your SOC.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we go back years and you look at board reporting, at least from my experience, right, that could be an hour or 2 a week.
Okay.
And then now you add that, for a month, and then you do that a quarter. And sometimes you also have to go, you don't own all the data always, right? So you may have to create tickets to other business units to go and grab some of those things. and so now, so where it's helping us immediately right now is that that's all fully automated, at least in our organization, right? So it's repeatable, it's predictable. Like everybody knows, like, hey, we're gonna get the email of the weekly or the monthly or the quarterly roll-ups in 5 minutes. And they always know what that format looks like. So it makes it easy for them to then consume that and then say like, hey, Mike, what's going on? Or this is awesome. We're continuing in the right direction.
And so to me, that sounds like you've perhaps also seen a greater rapidity for implementation in the human part of your SOC.
Well, yeah, that's it. Right? We always have to ask the people. Right? Like the one thing that we see over and over again where people fail implementing or just doing a partial implementation of tool X, Y, or Z in their security program is they may do that first 10 or 20%, and then they go and ask the people to interact with that platform or tools. And like, what do you like, what don't you like? And then when you start grabbing that and then saying, okay, next phase, we're going to go from 20 to 40, from 40 to 80%. But then always rinse and repeat. So ask the stakeholders and ask the users what they like and what they want changed.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you start automating any of this or start using AI at the wrong time in that kind of time series, you may not get the benefits that you're looking for. And then people get frustrated. So focus on the people, like ask the board, ask the executive team, what is important to you? Because here's what I consider really important. So let's merge those two together. Everybody good? All right, let's move on. And then build it and automate it and then rinse and repeat and keep on growing that way.
Well, those are great points, and it leads into then with your experience as a CISO, but also having been an early adopter of AI and other automation, what are other base points that you like to get out to your peers?
Yeah, I think, I was in the military for a minute, and there we always said, you got to focus and master the basics. So I think we're almost there's tool overload right now. So we buy, whether it's platforms or point solutions, to kind of get some sort of outcome.
Right.
But we just keep on plugging more and more holes. So master the basics, get them all rolled out, and focus on the configuration so that everything is tuned and configured first. It's like in the military, shoot, move, communicate. If you can do that really well, it doesn't really matter what weapon system you have or how much gear or technology, because you're going to be really good at the baseline of what will keep you and your teams alive, right? The way we kind of taken that into defensive posture for our organization and other organizations is, well, okay, so if we're setting up a defensive position, like the most likely avenue of approach is here, here, and here. All right, let's put some tools on there that can plug those holes. We are going to accept the risk in some of these areas and then make sure that you're not really breaking down business where it's costly to the business, because everybody's, you got to make money too, right? So that's a balancing act of risk management and business like enablement.
Beautiful, and I think that's such a part of kind of human experience too, because the same thing applies in sports. I mean, what is the famous quote about it's the masters are the ones that know the basics really well and can do them, execute.
Muscle memory, right?
Right, absolutely. So let's get to kind of the brass tacks.
Okay.
There's a lot of AI vendor claims, a lot.
Yeah.
What are some criteria or things that you have selected to go, yeah, this vendor claim I'll go with and investigate or won't?
Yeah. No, I think just in general, like a lot of the, it's third-party risk. So have a solid third-party risk management and evaluation program where we can stack rank and we can kind of see the architecture, how it's designed and what it allows you to do with it. Is it shared? Is it private? Closed? What kind of models are they based on? And cybersecurity is a big community, but it's also really small. So I talk to a lot of our peers and friends and see like, hey, what are you using? Where did you fail?
Okay.
So that we don't try to make the same mistakes. And then it's like, all right, what are you interested in right now? And what are the gaps? And then rinse and repeat. So continuously evaluate, continuously try to improve. And then, you got to swallow your pride too. And like, you got to listen.
True. I've heard active listening is the most beneficial and or the most dangerous if it's not done correctly.
Yeah.
Right? So on tools that you or your peers look at adopting and you don't have a chance to speak with a peer that is already using it, what is your gut reaction on looking at the marketing claims, at looking at, do you go into the white papers? Are there certain questions or things you do if it's something you don't get to crowdsource information on?
Yeah, just often I just test drive it.
Okay.
But push it through the ringer from your GRC and risk management teams for the third party, just to make sure that they have those the kind of bumper guards and just at least the basic controls in their environment to help reduce and manage that risk. I mean, even if someone might have told you that last year there were a bunch of hallucinations in this one model, right? It doesn't mean that that's active now. I mean, so what's their, what are they training the data on? How are they doing that? How often? What's the feedback loop and everything else? And then how many tokens as well, right? Like, what are the constraints and limitations with the design?
Okay.
So get technical. I mean, I'm not a data scientist, but we have really smart people at Swimlane that are. So I also ask them for advice. So I think risk, so third-party risk management, ask the really smart people if you don't know it and know that you don't know it all, and then draw that information in and then test it and make sure that you're getting, even if you're asking things that you know the answer to see how close it is. Or you think you know the answer to. Is that?
I think, yeah. For sure. So, sadly, we do have to close, but in a quick summary, would you agree with that? You feel the real place right now that AI can help the SOC is in the basics.
Yeah, I think really bringing all of the information together, right? Being able to ask those questions and help the analysts out, help the SOC managers and obviously help me as well, right? With
Right.
risk management and just visibility. I think that's where I would say it's a really, really awesome assistant right now to make us all better.
Excellent. Well, Michael, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
To find out more about Swimlane, please visit securityweekly.com/swimlanebh. If you can't stick around for the rest of the live stream, or if you are catching this afterwards, head on over to securityweekly.com/blackhat to find all of the Black Hat coverage by Cyber Risk Alliance. And please also check out Swimlane's presentation at Theater C at 11:25 tomorrow.